Chief Nazi hunter of the Simon Wiesenthal Center and director of its Israel office. Thanks very much for being with us on the programme. As we said there, Bruno Dey is 93. Why do you think it's right to still bring him to justice?
First of all, the passage of time in no way diminishes the guilt of those guilty, the criminals. Old age should not afford protection to people. Just because someone reaches an elderly age, it doesn't turn a perpetrator into a righteous Gentile. We also owe it to the families of the victims, to the victims themselves, an effort be made to hold accountable those people who helped turn innocent men, women, and children into victims simply because they were categorized as enemies of the Reich. And I think it also sends a very powerful message that if you commit crimes like this, even many years later, you might be held accountable. I think this is important for the families, it's important for the survivors, and it sends a message. I'm just thinking, these days in Germany, there are 1.5 million new refugees, people who came from the Middle East and North Africa, who are in Germany today, who come from countries with a very deep anti-Semitic tradition. Many of them don't believe that the Holocaust took place. So this is actually an added value to these trials held in Germany.
And what about the defence that he's offered? I mean, he says that at the time he had little choice. Let's not forget he was just 17 and he had to do what he was told and he was not specifically involved in any killings. Why is that not a valid defence?
First of all, we're not sure that that's really the case, number one. Number two, I mean, his attempt to claim he had no idea what was happening is obviously ludicrous. There are actually other events that took place that it's quite likely that he participated in, but unfortunately they were not part of the indictment. So this person, we're not talking about an innocent person. We're talking about someone who indeed was young, but he was a cog in a system that led to the murder of 28,000 Jews, 65,000 victims, 28,000 of them Jews. And there's no reason to ignore him simply because he had, you could say, the bad luck of living this long.
The verdict comes as well, doesn't it, at a time of what some might call a revival in right-wing ideas and incidents as well in Germany, elsewhere in the world as well. How worrying is that?
That's very worrying. And this is a message that's important in that context. There's no question that there's been a rise in anti-Semitism, especially in Western Europe, but not only in Western Europe. And this is a reminder of the dangers of fascism, of Nazism, of discrimination and the like.
So the hunt will go on, if you like?
That's our obligation. We owe it to the victims to do whatever we can to maximize justice. I mean, there's no question this is very little and very late, but it still is a valid enterprise and is very important for many people all over the world.
Efraim Zuroff, good to talk to you on the programme today. That's Efraim Zuroff, who's Chief Nazi Hunter of the Simon Wiesenthal Center.